Hello, everybody. Wow. Green screen. Yeah, I see that. I know. Everybody, let's continue to share out the live. Let's continue to tap it. We are so excited to talk to Mackenzie Miller from Utah, District 11. He is running for state office, and I am so excited. Ever been to Utah? Thank y'all. Make my head a little big. This hair get the growing, y'all, when y'all give me them compliments. So but yes, but tonight we're here to compliment Mackenzie and to see what Mackenzie platform is all about and how he and to help protect the voters of Utah, y'all. I'm gonna do one thing. I'm coming right back. I just had to move my desk. I don't like my background keep coming in. Back. I just feel like I don't have the right green screen show. Yeah, that's the one I want. I didn't like the little outline. Yes, but yes, y'all continue to share the live. Add it to your stories if you haven't done it already. Let me go ahead and repost it. Let me add it to my story. Let's get some people in, especially if you know. Please share the live out to them. It's super important. He is running against a couple people in Utah. First person being Miss Emily Boss, who is a forward party. I don't know what really mean. Mm, did everybody else? Let's get him up. I see that the candidates here. Um, I was just looking at Ballotpedia, and they say he's also running against a Republican, Chris. Um, oh yeah, are the three Republicans. Welcome in, Mackenzie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. The sun is out, so it makes for an even
Yeah,
better
it's still
day.
here too. Well, I mean, I'm in Utah, and
Which is
so it
that
stays
like
bright for
a
pretty long once it gets warm.
yeah. I'm so loving the brightness, the dread of the winter.
Yeah.
Yes, Mackenzie. Just give you a quick rundown. how tonight is going to go.
Okay.
Pardon me, it's been a little minute since I've hosted a lot. I've just been on the backside. I'm here. I'm getting a little practice, and I get to ask the questions. So I'm super excited. So to get us started, we're going to go over a couple topics. I'm going to ask you some questions. We will have some rapid fire questions. I'm going to check your heart rate.
Okay.
In those, there will be some fun ones. There will be some. To get us started, everybody, I want to welcome Mackenzie to OVC TikTok. Mackenzie is a parent, a Navy vet, and a working family advocate who believes public service is rooted in integrity, accountability, and showing up for the people you represent. Hey, he showed up tonight, y'all. So this is the first step. This how you know he is standing firm to his word. He served for U.S. Navy, and it taught him some of his core values: teamwork, responsibility, and completing tasks efficiently. He believes that leadership is not about titles or politics. It's about listening and being prepared to take responsibility for the outcomes of your decision. Yeah, we need more people with that belief in all areas of government, okay? He believed that leadership is much more of a verb than it is as a noun. Hey, Mackenzie, tell us a little bit more about you. Oh, okay. I'm going to just take the AirPods out. Somebody said they're going in and out. So thank you. But Mackenzie, tell us a little bit more about who you are, what your platform is about, and how do you feel that you can be accountable to the people of Utah, District 11?
Yeah. So my name is Mackenzie Miller. Like you kind of gave me the recap. I work. I've got two kids. I'm 33 years old. And I just think we need a lot more younger people in politics because, like the median age of like our presidents just keep getting older. So it's like the same generation being in office over and over again. And I just think that's not real representation because Utah is one of the youngest states. I think our median age is 32. And so we need people who are living with, mid 30s problems to really address like, what we're going through and not to tell me I need to work harder or, I have to get a second job to afford a family or, like let's pray for the Great Salt Lake. So my platform is really, pretty simple because it doesn't have to be complicated. We just need to put working people first. We're the people who drive the economy. Labor creates wealth, and so we are directly responsible for all these people making hundreds of thousands and millions and billions of dollars. And it's like when they force us to when they pay us subpar wages and then we as the rest of the taxpayers have to pay taxes to cover social services for working people because corporations are not doing their part in providing livable wages and good benefits and things that they're supposed to be doing, well then they're double dipping. They're stealing from us and they're paying us less. So that's one thing. Another part is just addressing affordability, especially in Utah. We have had like such a big population boom. Lots of people moved here since even I moved here. I moved here at the end of 2016 when I got out of the Navy. And there's just, you get to be one of those like boomers that's like, I remember when this is all farmland or I remember when this is all just nothing. And that is how it feels like over in the west side because my Senate district covers about like the western edge of Salt Lake County and then all the way to the western edge of the state.
Yeah, I saw that. But when I looked at it, I was like, that's a lot. But then
Yeah,
I remember land doesn't vote. It may not
exactly.
be a lot of
Let's
people
keep,
there.
land doesn't vote. How did these people win? Because there's no one who lives there. The cows aren't voting.
They
So,
do.
but we have to come up with more affordable and better options for people, my generation, when it's like you're looking to buy a home. And it's like, we're not looking for these giant mansions that they are building. We need to,
You
if we're
don't,
going to
hold on, wait,
subsidize,
Mackenzie. You don't want a
yeah,
McMansion?
I mean, I guess if you can afford it, then good for
Okay.
you. But it's like, people our age who are trying to get homes and get their families started, I think the median age for home buyer, first time home buyer is like 43. It's like, you've
Yeah.
already had kids by now, so it's like you're either crammed into an apartment or you're renting a house from somebody, things like that. It's like it'd be nice to just be able to get something that's yours a little more, a little smaller, like unfortunately,
It's
I
something you can
think that
afford, you can grow with, but
suburbs
you have the
aren't,
ability to earn wealth and build
yeah.
a future with. I
And it's like you
totally,
can stay somewhere instead of feeling like I need to move around a lot or try to get like a better rent deal or something like that. So,
but we're gonna dive in it. We're gonna
yeah.
dive in it because I almost asked you a question
Yeah, and then
about the
I'll
moving
finish mine
around
because
part.
we could go forever.
I
So
know.
affordability, just working about how can we make things more affordable for working people,
Mhm.
and then accountability, because I do think that a lot of leadership in Utah gets to skirt responsibility of things that they're doing for people, and I mean we see it on the federal level, but we also see it on the
At the
local
state
level.
level,
People.
and that's the place that really affects our day to day life. I think
Yep.
people fail to realize that both local and state is your. I mean, they're literally this close to you. You can reach out and
Yeah.
touch these people. People in DC, you can reach out and touch. However, you may not see those people every day. But I was on your website, and I know you're big on family. And I was reading a part on your website about the day that you found that you were going to be a father, and how it was also the day that you somewhat launched your political career.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super interesting because childcare is a hot button issue all across America. Not just affordable health childcare, but quality childcare. I was
Hmm.
one of my coworkers had a baby 3 years ago, and she was, I think, 3 months pregnant, and she was already on wait list for childcare. And I was just like, oh, I couldn't imagine being a parent. So
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that part. I think it's the small things that get us, that propel us into politics, and then also making sure that the people around us are supported because you quickly jump in and grab other parents from your child's school and be like, hey, we got to fix this. We got to hold these people accountable. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How voters can hold you accountable, what you are accountable for, um, and what strides are you going to take to make the everyday Utah. What do we call Utah? People from Utah.
I think the official one is Utah, so just put an N at the
Utah.
end.
Utah
So
with me.
yeah,
Uh, everyday Utah life better. So to get us started, I want to start with affordability because you have talked so much about affordability, and I believe when you said something about having two jobs to make life happen, I work three jobs, not including this one. Okay,
yeah.
to make life affordable. So many Americans are working long hours to try to stay afloat. Do you believe the system is rigged against working families? If so, who's responsible for fixing it?
I do think it is, because the more you think about it, the more it's just wage slavery. People say if you don't like the job, then quit that job, go find another job, and that's just like an immature response. Like, I know people who've been looking for jobs for months, and they get interviews, or they'll apply for hundreds of jobs, get a few interviews, and then nothing happens. And it's like it's just very unfortunate because you don't really get to pick where you work, because you just are looking out for what pays well, what can I do, like what can I fit in my schedule, what are the benefits, and that's kind of why I like the idea of universal healthcare, is that it kind of takes like that as a bargaining chip out. It's not, I'm not just staying in the sub paying job because it has good benefits, because
Mm.
I mean, I know my my oldest daughter last year what like had HSP, I think is what it's called. It like pretty much is an autoimmune issue that just comes up sometimes as a kid, and she would get all these bruises all over her body, and she couldn't walk anymore. This was, she was 4 or 5 years old, couldn't walk anymore, couldn't do anything, and I take her to the emergency room, and it's a $1,500 out of pocket expense, and then insurance doesn't cover it for another $2,500. But I'm paying every month for insurance. I just don't get to use insurance. So it's things like that where it's like, we're kind of forced to be working And you're saying you work 3 jobs, and that sucks to say that you got to coordinate all these schedules in different places. Where at the end of the day, unfortunately, I don't think that we as a society can actually continue to exist the way we are without these jobs that people love to say are like less than jobs, right? Like a we'll take like the easy like low hanging fruit, when they make fun of like Starbucks baristas or a McDonald's worker. It's like you still want to go to McDonald's to get something. So they need to be there. So at the end of the day, we're kind of all in this thing together as much as they don't want to admit it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think about when I went to be a flight attendant. I used to be like, oh, it's the glitz and glam. Like all you do, you're gonna go meet people, pass out drinks, travel the world. And then I go to training, they like, oh no, you need to know X, Y, and Z. You need to know how this equipment work. If something happens to the two pallets, your first in line, I'm like, hello, thank you. I don't know, too much, too
Yeah.
serious. But I mean, it gave me a whole new respect for the industry
Yeah.
because they really are hardworking people, and sometimes you just don't know the full what lies beneath the water when it comes to people jobs and people responsibilities at these jobs. Um, Piggybacking off of that, what's one policy that you are prepared to propose when you get to Senate, um, or that you hope to write up that make healthcare more affordable?
I know Nate Bluen, he like has some controversy right now going on, but he did try to pass a bill where everyone in Utah would get the same healthcare provider as like state employees.
Mm.
And I think that's good. Like the thing with the more people you have on a healthcare plan, the better they can negotiate rates, the better they can negotiate deals and things like that. And so the more people you have in it, I mean, think of it like a union, I guess, in some way where you have more power because you have more people. And so the more people you get, you subsidize each other. And so your rates are lower. And, people always say, who's going to pay for that? I'm already paying for that. I pay $440 a month for insurance that, like I said, I don't get to use until I meet my out of pocket deductible for a
Uh,
thousand. So that means over a course of a year, we'll just do quick math, $400 a month. That's $4,800 a year that I have to pay already, and then you're telling me I have to pay another 4,500 on top of that to reach my out of pocket deductible for you to start covering 80% of it. So it's those type of things where it's like you're already gonna end up paying $8,000 a year to get to use your insurance. So it's not
right.
even real insurance.
It's not. It's a scam. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie. Now, I will say, my first real job when I used to work at elementary school, and I left that job because I was like, I needed health insurance because
yeah,
without health insurance, it's even more expensive.
yeah.
It's just like, damn if you do and damn if you don't at this point. And I really hope that there is um, some legislation coming down the pipeline that will fix that, not just for people in Utah, but for working people across the United States.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's how I feel. I mean, I feel like it's more. I would like it to be a federal problem, but we can do what we can try to do for Utah on its own. I mean, each state does its own thing, but at some point, we have to start looking out for Americans. And I mean, I have like really good ways to market this to even conservative people. It's our economy is driven by consumerism, so if I can't go to work because I'm sick or I'm injured, that hurts how much money I have left like at home, and that means I'm consuming less, which means our economy does worse. So keeping people able to work is the best thing we can do for our economy.
all right. No, okay. I'm gonna move to education because I think education is super important when making things more affordable. Um, okay, you say you care about education, yet school systems in your state was are still underfunded and teachers are leaving in droves. What exactly will you get? Oh, where exactly will you get the money to fix this? And what would it cost to, what would you cut to pay for it?
So Utah, the education system, I believe, is mostly paid from sales tax. But our income tax is capped at a flat percent. So no matter how much you make a certain, like you just pay like 3.5% or whatever it is. I really think that people who make more should be paying more into taxes because our state actually ranked 51 out of 51 out of all the places that how much they fund their schools, like including Washington, D.C. And the interesting part is what happens is, and I've talked to like the Utah Educators Association about this, is state legislation will pass bills for schools, right? Let's just like take an example of we're extending bus routes for kids so they don't have to walk on hazardous roads. But they don't allocate any money from the state. They just say, we're mandating you to do this. Now you have to find the money to do it. And the school says, where do we get the money? And the legislation says you have the WPU, which is the weighted pupil unit. So for every student registered to the school gets a certain amount of money from the state. But what can happen is students can go to a charter school or a private school, whatever. And there's a certain cutoff point where the school is getting that WPU for that one student. And once it passes a certain point, the school gets to keep the money. And then the schools have no responsibility to keep the student, so they kick them out. And then so the money doesn't go back to public education. It stays with the charter school, but the student, and most of the time when a student does end up getting kicked out for reasons out of those type of schools, they also need like an individualized learning plan. And that costs more money than a typical student. And so that student actually gets no money, but needs more money than a typical student. And so one of the things that I would do is just pass legislation that would say that if a student is moving around, the money needs to go where that student is versus being like stuck into one school until the next year. I think that education, by taking care of ourselves early, we can make sure our kids are going to be better than we are. They can be better at school, and instead of thinking of public education as a bad thing, we need to kind of invest more into the kind of care that everybody, like the default care. And if you want to go to a different school or private school, that's your prerogative, but you need to pay for that. I don't think that like a voucher program is really helpful because the charter schools and private schools don't have the same criteria as public schools. So they can kind of pick and choose who they actually want to be a student there.
Correct. And I think that's the other crazy thing that I keep saying when we're having these conversations about public versus private is public schools don't have the ability to be selective of who they allow in.
Exactly. They're mandated to take everyone.
But we're getting ready to send public dollars to private schools who can accept the kid or not accept the kid and have them there for 3 months and send them back to public. And we are only hurting the public schools. We talk about how important education is, but is education really that important if we don't believe the dollar should follow the student? Because when it doesn't, teachers hurt, other students hurt, administrations hurt. Everybody hurt in this situation except the school that is no longer caring for that student.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, like a little bit more about me is I lived all over the United States. I was born in Virginia. I went to school there. I lived in Wisconsin, back to Virginia, Colorado, Arizona, Illinois, and then I've lived in Florida and Hawaii, and then Utah now. And so I just had a much different experience than other people, and I think that being in an environment where you can learn and you can grow with people that aren't exactly like you is the best thing for you, because then you develop more empathy, you develop more compassion for people who are not like you, and you can have a much better experience where you don't feel so like okay, for example, like if you went to like a Catholic school, right, you are kind of more, I'd say, closed off because everyone around you is Catholic and they believe, generally the same thing. But it's like, I don't think that's the real way of us going forward. And I don't think it's really American at all, actually, to be very picky and choosy about, who aligns with what I am like, and it's like that's just how you kind of still enforce like tribalism. It's always going to be someone versus somebody else, and it's like that's not really what we're all doing here.
So pretty much what you're saying is that we'll never be able to get to the melting pot of America.
Yeah, exactly. The joke, when we're growing up and they teach us, we're the melting pot, and just be that more, like it kind of breaks my heart to see how many people are just, if you're this, I'll even say it, like they hate you. They hate you for being whatever you were born as. And it's just not, it doesn't really affect you. So just don't get, so like, why treat them that way?
You know, I think we'd never figure out that answer because I don't think the people that believe that way really know the root of the answer.
Yeah,
Uh, and this is why education is important.
exactly.
Literacy is important. Um, Experience in other parts of the country, other parts of the world is important. Um, I think I always say that I credit my ability or the opportunities I've had to see other parts of the world, other parts of the state, and learn from other people was the thing that set me on the right track and put
Hmm.
me where I am now. As we talk about sorry. Okay, so both parties are accusing each other of politicizing the classroom. It isn't our own agenda. Is it on your agenda? Is it on your agenda doing the same thing? What belongs in schools? Oh, perfect. We just kind of talked about this. Um, so both parties are accusing each other of politicizing the classroom. Is it on your agenda? Is it their own agenda, or are you doing something different? What belongs in the classroom? Facts or ideology?
I think the facts belong, but in like from my experience, I'd say it's good to learn about lots of different religions and different, I it's not their it shouldn't be their job to tell you which one is right, but more just give you, have the kids be informed, because a lot of the things in a lot of ways are influenced by these things, and it's kind of like, to me it feels like it is essential to like understanding like the world the way it is, and that's by understanding how it got here in the first place, or like not creationism, I mean like, the like how we settled America, these people had their own separate sect of the church, and so they went to, I think they went to Denmark or something, and then they weren't wanted there, so they came to America. Okay, like it's good to have that kind of understanding, especially because there's other things that are based, in they base it off of religion, or there's parallels to the Bible, so it's like it helps you understand literature, and I think it's just a good idea to just be a well-rounded person when it comes to education. But it's not their job to say this is right, or to kind of proclaim one is superior than the other, right? Because we have freedom of religions, we have freedom of thought, and we have freedom of speech. So it's like, you need to just give the kids that ability, and like things about like posting like the 10 commandments in school, not really relevant to me. Like it wouldn't be something that I would be pushing for, and I would vote against it, because how do you think non-Christian people feel about seeing another religion's commandments in the school? And I know a lot of religions have a lot of overlap in what those mean, but then it's like, okay, well then can't we just teach those as general morals? I mean, a lot of our morals overlap anyway with these different religions, so why prescribe to one specifically versus being
Instead of
general
just
about
being,
it?
and just teaching the facts of history
Yeah.
about those religions. So, if you have a question in the chat and would like to join, please request up. But there is a question in the chat. And how much influence do the Mormons have in the school system in Utah?
Well, I'll say this, that because Utah was founded like from religious. I mean, think like, you know, founding of America, literally the same thing that happened with Mormon people. They got kicked out all over the place, and then they settled in Utah. Religion is pretty integrated, and I mean, I'm not going to push any religious thing, any type of ideology into bills. And I even email my senators about things where they do try to push that type of ideology about like there was a thing that they were trying to pass this legislative session about like following a 3-step success framework or something, and it was about the third step is being married before having kids, and you know, like that. There was a lot more stuff in there. I think I made a video on it, so you guys can watch it. But I just don't like that. You know, like no one. You shouldn't be teaching in school health classes that you need to be married to have kids. Like, you know, having kids within marriage is a strictly religious like concept. So it shouldn't be there in schools teaching kids. You can say something about having like a partner who's there to help you. Mm-hmm. That's, you know, that really helps you out when you're having kids. You can say something like that, but you don't need to be married, I don't think.
Well, the current administration is definitely not teaching that, because they literally just said that the birth rate in America is down because 15 to 19-year-olds are not having kids. These are kids, people. We don't want our kids having kids.
And you know, they're talking about all that stuff, but at the same time, you know, like I feel like those. I mean, my niece, she's 16, and I'm like, I would feel pretty. I would feel it'd be very hard for you to have, you know, a child at this age. I mean, my sister had my niece when she was 17, and so I know how hard it is and how hard my sister worked. When she had my niece very early, so I would not recommend that to anybody. You know, try to figure out your life, figure out what you want to do before you have responsibilities. You know, get your feet under you before you decide to take on having children.
Right. I think no ages prepare you to have a kid. Like, I feel like everybody's learning curve.
Yeah.
But I want to welcome Sianka to the panel. Sianka, how are you doing?
I'm good, Nookie. How are you? Looking handsome.
Thank you. You know, don't make my head bigger than what it is. Sianka, what is your question for Mr. McKinley? I mean, Mr. McKinney.
How you doing, Mr. Mackenzie?
It's okay.
Wow. I've been sitting right this entire time.
How you doing, Mr. Mackenzie? It's great to meet you.
Yeah, doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. What do you think is your stance on why politicians are so hard? Why they so hard on? Well, that's not a good word to use. That why they so? Why are they pushing? That's better. Why are they pushing religion in school when they can't even do that themselves? Why is it such a propaganda to push into school? What do you think is their agenda in doing that? Like, why is it so forced?
You know, I'll say this just off the cuff. I think a lot of this, and I've seen a lot of it here because they've just sold this big warehouse to be converted to an ICE facility right outside Salt Lake City. And really the thing is, because people try to say, you know, they, as in like undocumented people, are like eroding American values or something like that. And I said, if anything, you know, they come here, they want to work, they want to have a better life for their families. I was like, if anything, they're like just as they embody American values as much as we do. And I truly think it is like this, you know, I hate to say it, almost like a white supremacist or a Christian nationalist type of movement, where it's like they feel like they're losing control of, you know, what like the identity of America is, but that was never really what it was. It's just what it was perceived as because, you know, white Christians were the majority. And now that's becoming more and more apparent that it's not there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it is to kind of continue and almost force like this cycle of brainwashing for children, and to keep them kind of like in this Christian mentality. That's really what it feels like for me anyway.
Well, thank you for answering that because we're seeing it more and more often, and they wanted to go back, but it's too late because we are a melting pot of beautiful cultures and beautiful races, and I wish people would be satisfied with that. But that's very interesting. And having an ICE detention center in the city outside the city of Utah, Lake City. I mean, Salt Lake City,
yeah.
in Utah.
Uh-huh.
What? Out of all states?
Yeah. I don't know. And then like you see people when you're talking about it saying, someone said, I just saw it. They said like estimated, 500,000 people in Utah are undocumented. And some guy said that's 15% of the state's population. You think 15% are undocumented? I don't think so. Like,
What?
yeah,
That's crazy. But thank you for answering my question. Nookie, you could drop me down. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
thanks.
Whee!
I don't find it to be that crazy or unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just no one wants to say it.
Yeah, I think that's the issue right there. Nobody wants to really have the real in-depth conversation of what the real numbers are. But there was another question in the chat before we move on. Utah legislation, is it predominantly Republican?
Yep. Utah in the legislation is very Republican. Our governor's Republican. The Senate is a Republican majority. The House is a Republican majority. And they don't like to lose. I mean, a little, I guess, tidbit about Utah was back in 2018, we petitioned for, it's called Proposition 4, and it was to have nonpartisan maps drawn. And it took this long, from 2018 till now, because this past year they were trying to repeal Proposition 4, and they were paying people to come in from out of state and lie about what it was, and to get people to sign so they could get enough signatures to repeal it. It didn't go through, and then now they're talking about setting up a new special court because the judge ruled in the people's favor. They said, you have to do partisan maps. This is all, above board. And then they didn't provide a map. So then we have the map that we are going to have in this next congressional, like during the midterms, where we have a House district for Congress right around Salt Lake City. So that would make a Democrat from Utah in the House.
I'm going to say this. We always need more Democrats everywhere.
Well, yeah, but they chop up. I mean, you can look at my map. They chop that one up. They chop maps up all the time. But when they have the majority, they can do what they like.
Right. I'm from Missouri, and so that's what we are literally dealing with right now. Just the overwhelming majority that they have, and the things that they're pushing through are definitely undermining the voices of the people.
Yeah,
especially in much bigger cities than our rural areas, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. There's 2 questions in chat. One. How will you get any of your policies passed? And after that, we're going to go to some rapid fire.
Okay. So my thing that I've seen when it comes to passing policy with like Republicans is one, I actually think 95% of the things Republicans and Democrats really agree on. You just have to phrase it in the way that they want to hear it. And so that's how I would get around, because I'll say this, most laws is always what's in between the lines, not exactly what's on the paper. And you just have to frame it in a way that is enticing to them, and it either saves them money, or you find the common grounds with them, and that's the whole part is negotiating. And like one of the things I like to joke is, because I'm a middle child, it's like that's like what they always say that middle children are good at is negotiating. So it's like we can negotiate like far left ideas and can make them seem palatable for Republicans and get them to see the sense in it, as long as you can get them down. Because I mean, commenting on people on Facebook, I'll just say this, like, since my youth, it has never worked in convincing anyone of anything. despite them sitting there on their phone texting you back and forth, it's like you could just Google that and I don't need to do that for you. But when you talk to people in person, they're a lot more understanding and they can actually listen to you. So, I mean, when you're up there, you can get in with some of these people, and some of them are not, like, I don't really want to paint broad strokes on them either. There are some, pretty bad ones here, but there's also some pretty moderate ones. And it's like, we can do stuff together here, and we can make something work. And I don't think we have to give up everything, and just Democrats are just like slowing the push to the right. We can actually do something to kind of pull it back the other direction and act like we're in the 21st century.
Correct. It's back to that melting pot. We can
Exactly.
blend well on some things. All right. So, couple rapid fire. These are going to be fun ones. Mountains or deserts?
Mountains.
National park or state parks?
That's hard because we got like so many of both. I'll say national parks.
Okay. Skiing or snowboarding?
Ski.
Camping or glamping?
Camp.
Early morning or late nights?
Late night.
Favorite drink on a campaign throw?
Favorite drink? Which one? Which type? Non-alcoholic or alcoholic?
You can do both.
Okay. I'll say non-alcoholic. Probably. I've been like on the Sprite Zero trip right now. But Dr. Pepper's second, and then alcoholic. Beer. I'll take a Blue Moon Shock Top or Modelo.
Okay. Well, I can't do the Modelo, but have it. Fry sauce or ranch?
I'll take fry sauce.
What is fry sauce? I was hoping you was gonna say it.
Yeah, it's like a ketchup mayonnaise kind of mix. Like it's a little I guess I'll say when I have it, it's like a little fattier than ketchup. It's like smooth or like creamier, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it. It's fine.
Two of my least favorite things when it comes to condiments. So, have your fry sauce, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just gonna stick to barbecue sauce and hot sauce. Okay, maybe
You didn't give me that option,
I know, but is fry sauce like a local thing there?
Yeah, it's pretty local. I mean, I'm not a huge ranch guy. I mean, I'll take ranch on a salad or something, but usually like you said, I'll take like a barbecue sauce or like a like Stubbs barbecue sauce is my go-to at the store, or Sweet Baby Ray's.
Oh, Sweet Baby Ray's. Sweet Baby Ray's. Oh. Yeah, I'm a barbecue person, so
yeah.
Don't get me started. With Utah being such a rural state, and your county having a huge rural footprint, when it comes to air quality, rotation rates amongst the worst in the nation, family breathing polluted air every winter.
Mm-hmm.
What should voters believe you'll fix? How should voters believe you will fix this problem? Or how would you work with the other party to fix the problem?
Yeah.
Should I leave this out here?
Yeah, I can just leave it there.
Okay.
We're about to have dinner. So one of the things I'm trying to pass is actually expanding public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And that would go hand in hand with affordability, because the only reason that people have to buy a car and to insure a car is because they need a car to get to their jobs. And I spent middle school and high school in North Chicago, so I know what it's like to have good public transportation. And I think we just need to start planning for that now, while Salt Lake City is still expanding, or the Salt Lake area, I guess. Some of the counties I cover are outside of Salt Lake County, but still people who work in Salt Lake City or in that area will have to commute in and out. And it's like, if we make public transportation much more accessible, mm-hmm. that can really cut down on traffic and cut down on gas prices. It can cut down on air quality. It can cut down on your monthly payment for cars, because it's either you buy a really cheap car and you're always paying to fix it, or you buy an expensive car and your car broke. So I don't think, like, they were trying to pass a bill this legislative session, actually, about lowering the age to get a driver's license in Utah to like 15 and a half or 14 and a half, something like that. It's like ridiculous. And they said
Is that permit or like actual
because
license?
our youth are like failing to take off, and so they're trying to get children, or young adults, I'll say, the ability to get to a job and do things like that. And I'm like, when I was working as a graduate of high school, I was taking the bus to the mall to work. So it's like, if we just have better buses or more expanded trains, or I guess you can call it a train, but track, Metra, front runner, whatever you want to call it, just electric rail. It's like, people can commute in and out with that, and that kind of cuts down on all that stuff. And honestly, even if it takes the same amount of time for me to drive, like to commute, than it would to take a train, I'd rather take a train. You're completely hands off. You're actually beginning to relax again, and you can, you don't have to be so hands on the wheel and kind of paying attention. You can kind of just do nothing and start to relax. Because I think a lot of things that people are going through now is a lot of mental overload. Like, our quality of work has improved, for decades now. And I think a lot of that is because a lot of our jobs take a lot more take more of our mental capacity. And then when you get home, you just feel so tired, you don't want to do anything. It's like, it'd be nice to have like a relaxed period where you're not always doing something, you can kind of relax. So one of the things I'd want to do is expand public transportation to address many issues here.
Yeah, I'm a believer in public transportation, and every time I travel, if there's public transportation that is really good, I'm going to use it, and
Yep.
I'm going to enjoy every bit of it.
Yeah, like I went to Singapore like 2 years ago, and my friend who went with me, him and his girlfriend went like together, and I was there. I'll say I was third wheeling, but I wasn't really with them. I just kind of did whatever I was doing, and I just took the bus everywhere. Because it's funny, they said, "Oh, you want to meet here?" And I said, "Sure." And I got on the bus, and they said, "Oh, sorry, the Uber took a long time to get here," or like the cab. And I was like, "I beat you here like on a bus, like," and I paid like $2.
Yeah.
So I think
like,
yeah.
That's how I feel when I go to the East Coast, and I'm like trying to get somewhere. I'm like, oh, a car? No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get on this train that's gonna constantly move. I'm going to do this bus where I can sit back and relax and get myself ready for wherever that I'm going to.
Yeah.
I recently read, I believe it was in Utah. I recently read an article about salt lakes and the amount that it was shrinking, and that you guys were trying to pull off the biggest comeback of a salt lake. Was that Utah?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Salt Lake is right next to Salt Lake City. It's actually right next. I'm closer to it than Salt Lake City is, which is funny. But that is a very big issue, and it's going to have cascading ramifications if we don't actually get this thing under control. Because like I said, I'm from North Chicago, and so we always joke, everything's the lake effect.
Yeah, it is.
We have all this snow, the lake effect. We have all this, XYZ, it's the lake effect. Who cares? But Salt Lake, the lake itself, actually generates a lake effect for Salt Lake Valley. Mm-hmm. And the lake effect is what drives most of our, our snow. But then the snow that accumulates in the mountains is like 85 or 90% of our fresh water. So if we don't get a lot of snow, we don't have any water. Mm-hmm. And the thing with the Great Salt Lake is it is a terminal lake, which means that rivers flow into it and nothing flows out. But what happens is upstream, they secure water rights and they divert water from the Great Salt Lake. So the only place that the water can come from is, you're literally, kinking the hose. There's no more water.
What was there?
Yeah. And I've always been super passionate about the environment since I was like very young. And, in your early 20s, it really stresses you out because it feels like nobody's doing anything about it. But that would be one of the things that I would do is secure water rights upstream for the Great Salt Lake to actually be replenished. So that way we can get the levels back up to what they should be, and that will help our that'll help our snow in the winters. I mean, this year we had like no snow, so everyone who was skiing was just skiing on artificial snow. But I mean, the license plate in Utah say the greatest snow on earth, and it's like, how's that going to hold up when we have no snow?
Correct.
So
what if that's the case that the selling of the water rights put a kink in the water holes? Why don't Utah legislators pass laws to restrict the sale of water rights?
I couldn't tell you individually, but all I'll say is it feels like a lot of legislators in Utah, like I can't point to it directly, but I swear to God they're making money off of it somehow. They're talking about selling public lands. They're talking about, I know that they just came up with something where some of the Native Americans were trying to buy back like land or something, and then some guy behind closed doors says, he said something pretty bad about pretty much saying like, just try to sell land to, and he used the word Indians, which they're not, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. They are somehow making money off of selling off our natural resources. And either if it's directly or indirectly, I swear they're doing it because they have to divert water to, support expanding development, right? Mm-hmm. So like houses, you have to secure water rights. If you're doing a shopping mall or something, so many layers. And I think they're somehow making money off of it because there's no it's always money is what it seems to be with me. So you just have to find where they're making money, or it's either that or they're getting paid by a bunch of when they're campaigning, they get paid by a lot of people, a lot of these organizations because they did those things. And they say quid pro quo is illegal, but the thing is, what if you just do nothing? What if you just let things happen instead of saying something? And it's like, oh, well, you didn't. It's not this for that. It's I didn't do anything, so I'll pay you for doing nothing.
Right, because now you're indirectly accountable to those people.
Yeah, so it's
saying yes to it.
And so and then the thing is though, if you take their money and you do something against them, well, then they'll campaign against you. So once you get your hands dirty with money, it's going to be dirty the whole time because they're either going to keep paying for you and you got to keep doing the things they want, or they're going to pay somebody else to take your place.
So with that, do you believe that money should come out of politics?
I think the only money that should be in politics is from the people who you're representing, really, or I guess just people. I looked it up because I was just really curious why corporations and these groups and stuff like that can put so much money into politics. And it's because they attribute it to, spending money is a First Amendment thing. You're putting your money where your mouth is, blah, blah, blah. And to me, corporations aren't people, so you shouldn't get all the rights that people get because that's just not the same thing. And
I was just thinking that. I was like, it's because they have more rights than actual human beings in America.
Yeah. And so that's my thing is you have way more money than other people. And so you can really influence the way that elections are going to go because I just looked this up too. 89% of the candidates who raise the most money win.
Because money talks and bullshit walks every time,
Yeah, so they can get all this money from these corporations and stuff like that, and then it's like they get into office and they, there isn't that much accountability for them when there aren't many levers for you to pull as like a citizen of saying, you are not representing me correctly. And I know that, a congresswoman in my area, like she posts on threads. I don't even know why at this point anymore because she gets so beat up in the comment section. Like nobody's liking her posts. Everyone's just shitting on her the whole time. And she'll literally avoid doing in-person town halls because people are so mad at her. And it's like that's accountability, lady. Like you have to, you gotta pay the Pied Piper, and you gotta come face the people that you're doing this to. So
Everybody wants the glitz and glamour, but nobody truly wants the responsibility that comes along with it.
yeah,
When I was younger, a lady told me a story about success, and she's like, people look at the staircase for success and be like, oh, they're having a party up there. The staircase is glistening. But when you walk up to the staircase, you realize that every step is filled with shards of glass. And the very thing that light is hitting is the blood that is glistening off those shards. And nobody really wants the agony or pain of success.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I just think that the people who really want to be politicians, like, shouldn't be politicians. Like I did this out of almost, it feels like necessity at this point because like how long are we going to sit around and let these people, like, a lot of these people, you don't even know who they are, like you've never heard of these people. They don't work normal jobs. They've been up there forever. Like you are not living what we're living. And then for you to say that you're going to fight tooth and nail, it's like, no, like when I went through a divorce over 2 years ago, and it's like when you're fighting for like every dollar, it's like, yeah, you tell me. And I was raised by a single dad, and he was in the Navy, and it's like when you're eating ramen noodles for 7 days straight because that's all you can afford, it's like, then tell me about poverty and tell me about the clothes that don't fit and you get made fun of at school. And it's like, tell me you've lived that life, and then maybe I'll have some sympathy for what you're doing. But it's like I can tell you haven't, because the things you do are not helping these people.
Or show me that you remember that life. I feel like sometimes these politicians and they get the money and they're like, "Woo, I made it." The people that's behind is unfair because we got you there, and we can get you out if we really wanted to get you out.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll say that to like anyone listening. It's like, the median age for voters is still old as hell, like my dad's age, in the 50s or 60s. So we do have to get out and vote. And I know the feeling that presidential elections don't feel like you matter. And it's like, but your local elections are strictly democratic. They just count the votes, but you just have to get out there, help your local candidates get in, research them beforehand and volunteer a little bit. Cause I mean, with me running now, it's like, you see what it's like on the other side, where it's like, man, just wish I had like a couple people to help like knock doors or things like that. So every little bit helps when you're an honest candidate, because there's so little money in it for us that, everything goes a little way farther than it does when you have a lot of money in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Shameless plug. Right above me, right above OVC is a little website. Y'all click on there and go support Mackenzie, okay? Don't wait to the end. Do it now.
Thanks.
Sorry, that was my QVC plug right there. 3 payments of $9.99.
Yeah.
So if we talk about infrastructure, we just talked about how public transportation is super important. Can you pinpoint one point in the legislation that has been passed or has been passed that is making both public transportation worse, but non-commuter transportation worse?
I can't point to any one specific bill. I know that one of the counties that's within my district is in the rural part. So that's Tooele County, which is like the western part of Utah. They actually like reduced how many buses they had because they said nobody used them. And I said, well, how many bus stops do you have? And they said, oh, there's like 2 or 3. And I'm like, that thing is like a 70 mile an hour road that I drive down like 30 minutes to get to your city hall. And it's like, if you have 2 or 3 stops, it's not working for people. Like, it has to be accessible. They have to be able to get there, get to the bus stop, and then get on the bus and go over to Salt Lake City. And also having reduced hours to get to Salt Lake City. I think they say the last bus like goes there at like 7 p.m. and it's like that's just not working. Like some people work at night. People want to go out to the town. You take the bus. You could take the bus. I want a train, but we'll see how that works. But I think, and it's also apparent because not Emily Buss, who is the senator now, who got elected in a special election last November. Before that, Dan Thatcher, the guy who was our senator before, Republican, then he switched to Forward Party and resigned. He took a bunch of money from Chevron. So it's really oil and gas being in politics as well is the main, I think the main hindrance of why we don't expand public transportation, because less people driving means less gas being sold and less reliance on oil and fossil fuel. And they don't want that. They want us to be, I truly think, honestly, in America right now, every industry is trying to find a way to make their industry irreplaceable, and you can't remove them. And you can see it everywhere. Like insurance, you have to have insurance for everything, and it's required. It's required by law, and it's like that's the thing. They try to get you into a position where you need them, and you can never break away. And I think that's not choice. That's not freedom. It's just someone else digging in your pocket for a coin. So I'm trying to just give everyone the freedom. Like you said with the mansions, it's like people don't need to be a slave to their house or a slave to their car. It's like you want a big house and you can afford a big house. Be my guest. That's your choice. But people still have to live somewhere, and people still have to go to work, and forcing them to have a car is good for them. And so they want to keep that going. So.
Yeah, I mean, I want a big house. I need a big house though.
Yeah.
But I really don't want a big house.
We were saying that we're just when we're older, I'm just gonna sell my house and live in like a nice apartment where I don't have to do anything because house maintenance sucks.
No, give me a little tiny house.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do is just get more sustainable housing where it's like you want like a house, a little piece, and it's like you have your house and you have like a bedroom and you can have your guests over or something. It's like you can do something, but we don't like all the development over here is huge. Like it's like $600,000 or up housing, and it's like I don't know who's affording this housing because it's not me. So
nobody is, and I was looking at something about a landlord speaking about Mandani. I hope I said that right. Ayana tell me later. His proposal to cap renter rates again. And the man was like, if you can't afford to live in New York, move out of New York. But if nobody can afford to live there, who's going to pay the rent that you're offering?
Well, yeah, that's the funny part is like you need them also.
Yes.
And, you guys charge so much in rent that's like above it. And it's like, I guess I'll self-disclose now. My dad, when in 2008, when the housing market crashed and I was like in middle school and high school, he actually took a bunch of money out of his 401k to buy foreclosed houses in North Chicago, and we renovated them and then we would rent them. And even he says there's no such thing as ethical exploitation. So it's like, these people, when they've held on to these apartments or whatever for generations and they're just renting them for thousands more than they actually pay, then, that's the problem is just like, making money for doing almost nothing. And we all know that most landlords do not treat their tenants with any respect, and they take forever to fix things and get around to things. So it's hard to, hear about like the woes of landlords when it's like you really don't have to do that much.
You don't.
Like you just sit at home, and if your tenant texts you about something, you call someone else to go fix it, and it's like, oh, you're just mad that they did something. Like people live in places, and when you live in something, things break. That's just that is life. If you don't like it, then sell it.
It stays brand new. That's the day you move in. Yeah. Before we move on to immigration, I'm gonna ask you a couple more rapid fire questions.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let's see. Lower taxes or expanding public service?
What was the second part?
Expanding public service.
Expanding.
Law enforcement funding or social services investments?
Social service investment.
Would you rather grow tourism or protect natural spaces? I think I know your answer.
Protect natural spaces.
I knew it! Tech expansion or industry expansion?
Tech or industry? I'd probably say industry.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, we need both.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I
But
mean,
I
for
feel
us,
like tech sometimes don't give enough jobs that industry would give.
yeah, I think tech sometimes does this thing where it explodes and then it like condenses on itself. So it explodes at the beginning and then it's like, okay, we don't need all these people, then it fires them all. So it's makes it hard to make it like truly accessible all the time and like a real business to get people to work.
All right, so career training or college pathways?
Can I say both? I have I guess I'll plug my little idea right now. Is I know that some people say we should have free college, and I think we should have free college to an extent because we need to look at the market and see which careers are going to be phased out or not phased out, but like grown out of. So right, like all of the boomers and the older people are going to leave those fields. We need to fill those fields. And I'm like, we should pay for college for those because we need those people. We need those jobs filled.
Like air traffic controllers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and I, when I was going to college, I used to fix printers all around Salt Lake City and Utah. And I would fix a lot of printers in hospitals. And I was fixing a printer in a doctor's lounge. And the doctor came out and he said, do you like what you do? And I said, yeah, it's all right. It pays the bills. I'm going to school right now, so it's fine. It's nice to work part-time and work on I just leave school and I just drive to wherever I got to fix a printer. And he said, I like being a doctor, but like I haven't seen my family in 3 days because I've been here. And it just is more of a testament of like how little people are doctors. And my thing is, I don't think that there is a shortage of people who want to be doctors. There is a shortage of people who can afford to do that much schooling and take that much time to not get paid. So it's like, we need to invest in our own people to bolster our own workforce. So if you want people to work these jobs, you can't say that, well, you should go get a college degree, but then they get a college degree. Well, I can't find a job. Well, that was your fault for getting a college degree. You can't have it both ways. We do need people to fill those jobs, and I am fully supportive of paying for people's college to work the jobs that we are going to need filled in the coming future.
Yes. More school choice or stronger public school funding?
Stronger public school.
All right. Increase teachers' pay or reduce class sizes? There's only one real answer to this question. It's a trick.
I don't know because
gears are turning.
Huh?
I think gears are turning.
I'd probably say I'm just gonna say higher teachers' pay.
Oh, you're supposed to say both.
Oh.
It was a trick question, Mackenzie.
Well,
I still support teachers.
I try to play the rules that you guys give.
I'm always going to support increase in teacher pay. I don't believe teachers are paid enough for the work that they do. And they are one of the most important people in the success of any country.
Yep, that's how I feel. Because
you're a candidate out there, and you just heard me say that, and you're voting against teacher pay. Dang. Yes. All right, let's move over to immigration. And this kind of goes back to what Sianka was saying, what we were talking about earlier. That 15% of Utahns are undocumented. 1 million undocumented immigrants have lived and worked here for years. Would you deport them? Would you give them legal status or leave the system broken? What is your actual plan for immigration?
So I guess if I had a magic wand, I could do it, however I want without cooperating with other people. I think giving the legal status is way more efficient than, at least what we've seen with ICE and everything lately. It seems like some kind of legal human trafficking system. I think that, like I said, a lot of people come here, they embody American values more than, or just as much as anyone else who is born here. They commit crimes at a lower rate than U.S. citizens. They pay taxes and are ineligible for all these benefits that people say that they get. So they're really just a net positive to our economy. And at the end of the day, I think that everybody is forgetting, like they have history amnesia or something, because so I guess a little bit about me, I'm part Irish, I'm part Polish, I'm part German, and at some point in America's history, my ancestors were treated like garbage. And they're just forgetting that, even I made a post on Threads about it too, where it's like, even members of the LDS Church, LDS are Mormons, same thing. Even they were treated like garbage, like there was violence against them. They were thrown out of they were driven out of where they live, things like that. And they settled Utah. So it's very, it's ironic for me to hear that you're so deplorable. Like these people are so deplorable to you that you would treat them this way when your ancestors were treated this way too. But you just don't have any empathy for these people. And at some point, someone in your family was just like these people and were treated less than. And, I think about it where it's like, if it was my grandfather or something that being treated that way, would I think that's right? And if the answer is no, then you need to apply that to everyone who's trying to, better America.
Yeah. But I think that comes with that, like getting out, seeing the world and seeing different cultures and how in other places, I wouldn't say we're 100% a melting pot, but there are places in America that are very much blended community wise. As we talked earlier about Utah getting this huge detainee facility for ICE. And we know that families are being separated or young kids are being used as pawns to get the parents out of hiding to be detained. Where do you think the problem lies, at the state level or at the federal level? And how would you work with your congressional leaders to help solve the problem?
Yeah, so I think fundamentally the immigration system is broken. And I think that what I read was less than 2% of people who apply for a green card from Mexico get it. So there's different types of ways that you can get in, right? There's political asylum, there's student visas, there's a tourist visa. But like those tourist visa and like student visa, you have certain restrictions on being here. But it's like just straight up applying. If you just said, hey, I want to live in the United States, I want to be a legal resident, I want a green card. If you apply for that, there is a less than 2% chance you will get it. And that it takes thousands of dollars to apply and do the paperwork and everything. It takes years for them to get back to you. And so it's really just, it's a system that's not working fast enough. And it's also a system that fundamentally punishes people for doing it the right way. And it's easier to do it the wrong way because, we see it here. There's so many people who are here that it's easier for you to, wait until your kids get married And then when they become citizens after X amount of years, they can sponsor you to become a green card holder, and then you can become a citizenship, or you can, go through the naturalization process that way after getting a green card. That's easier. That's easier than it is than doing it the right way. So it's rich for me to think that people are saying do it the right way when doing it the right way isn't advantageous. Nobody will do it the right way. That's just not what it is. You have a big open road and they say the speed limit is 15 miles an hour. It's just a straight open road and you're flying down at 80 miles an hour. That's what happens. People just do that. So, I mean, I have a pretty intimate experience with getting citizenship and what it's like for people who are undocumented. So, I also think that our ancestors, I'll say mine, when they came here, the border was just open. They just let you in, and they just said, "There you go. You're here to work. Get to work." And that's not the same as what it is now. So it's our ancestors didn't do it all right way. They just came here. There was nothing wrong with what they did versus now. So again, I think it's just pushing the idea that America's for white people only.
Yeah, he said it, y'all. This is one thing I hate. He said, I can't figure it out. I always try to point at the person next to me, and I can never get it right. Is this way? He said it, not me. Don't shoot this messenger. We're just here for a short time, but a good time. Mackenzie, last question. What makes you different from the candidate that you're running against, your opponent? And what is one thing that you think the people should know that make you different about that candidate?
So I think just for me is anyone who's ever met me knows that I fight for things. I fight pretty hard, and it's, these aren't always just my feelings, right? There's data to back the type of things that I want to do up. And if we're going to keep ignoring data and we're going to keep ignoring experts in their fields, then that's not something I want to do. So that's what I'm going for, is just bringing education and bringing science and bringing the studies that have already been paid for. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We just need to work with what we have and do something different. I do think, I hate to claim ageism or anything, but it's when you're younger, it's I think that you're just experiencing these things now. And it's what would have helped me right now instead of people I'm running against. And I'd say that I fight harder for more left-leaning policies. Emily Buss is a Ford Party candidate, and they claim to be in the middle. But honestly, to me, the middle is nothing. You being in the middle, you're just kind of slow. You're giving it away slower. That's all you're doing. You're just slowing it down. And it's we need people who are actually going to fight for working people and not try to balance in the middle where we're catering to corporations that abuse our working people, and they abuse the system. They are the biggest recipients of welfare, yet somehow it's the biggest secret in the world that, it's not low income people that are the biggest welfare recipients. It's these giant corporations that get millions of dollars to set up systems that don't actually help the working people in that area. Instead, it kind of keeps them under their thumb the whole time. So those are the things I'm fighting for, and I think that we just need more people who are just going to say it for what it is instead of acting like this isn't a problem.
Everybody, you've heard it. Mackenzie wants to be the voice for District 11 in Utah. Mackenzie, tell everybody how they can find you. What social are you on? How can they support your candidate?
So if you go to my website, vote for Mackenzie, MACKENZIE.org, they've got it up there. You could also just search it up, Mackenzie Miller, Utah. I think I'm the first one that comes up. But On there, I have on my socials at the bottom of the page, I think. I'm on Facebook. I'm not really on there that much. TikTok, Instagram, Threads. I'm in all those places. And, you can email me at Mackenzie@voteformackenzie.org. Donating helps. But, honestly, for you guys, I think it's better for you to support your local candidates, the people that are going to really directly affect your lives. So small donation works, but I really would want to encourage everyone to look for their local candidates and support them, give them your time and your energy, because that's what we need. And we need more good candidates who are just going to stand up for things that are not right. And instead of thinking that the system is inaccessible, we have to break into it and actually start doing something, because they're going to keep making the system more designed for people like them in their specific lifestyles, and we have to work hard as hell to get in and to actually drive this vehicle the place that we need it to go versus where they want us to go.
And that is the truth. I'm not going to say break in. We need to break out.
Yeah.
The community's too tight. There's too many people in it. It's too congested with stupid ideology.
Yeah.
Stupid is the issue here. Not being smart about issues. As we come to a close, you guys, I want to thank Mackenzie for being here tonight and being the voice of the next generation, because we need more young people interested in politics, want to be involved, want to run for office, and want to represent their community, because we are the next generation to carry the baton. And if you do not believe it, just go to your state house, go to your federal body, and you will see most of them are older than my parents, and they're still running it. They don't have much longer.
They're collecting Social Security, and they're still still up there doing whatever they're doing. So
running on the system.
Yeah.
You didn't hear me say that. So Mackenzie, I want you to stick around. I think is this coming weekend, but if OVC could put up the roundtable dates real fast, I want to invite you to our roundtable conversation. So every second Sunday we host a roundtable. So the next one will be the 26th. We invite candidates to come to share their story, share where they are in their race, share what policy that they plan to enact, and how they plan to work around the system or within the system. Mackenzie, can I count you in for the 26th?
Let me double check my calendar.
Yeah, go ahead. When you check it, go ahead, add us to it. Just pencil us in, and we will send you a message with a calendar invite just as a reminder. Okay?
Okay, yeah, send it to me. It looks good. Utah State Democrat Convention is on the 25th. So that's why I was just double checking. So I was like, I got to be there, and it's all day. So
that means you're just going to be charged for the conversation at hand. I promise.
Exactly.
You.
So yeah, I should be good on the 26th.
All right. I also want to invite you to our next town hall. Let me make OVC bigger because I cannot see what the bottom say. Or OVC, can you make yourself bigger for me? Oh, there we go. Everybody, we have Alex up next. He is running in Florida for U.S. House District number 5, you guys. Please come out April 17th, which is tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern, and let's hear Alex's vision for Florida, okay? We heard Mackenzie's tonight, and I'm pumped about Mackenzie's vision. I hope you are. Please, if you see us out there, come to the town halls, engage with the candidates, join us on Discord, join us on YouTube, join us on Facebook, Threads, and guess what, y'all? We're coming to Substack. So please, every place that you can engage. If you would like to do what I did tonight, moderate, if you would like to host, if you would like to help with research, please join us. Become a mod. Interview candidates for the midterm. It is so important that we win this midterm across all levels of government, you guys. Please just inbox OVC or one of its moderators in the comments. I can't see. Oh, yeah, I just did that plug. Perfect. Yeah, see, look, y'all. Instagram, Facebook, Threads. And we're coming to subsets. Don't forget to go watch all the videos of town halls we have already done on YouTube. We have done over 100, okay? We have interviewed, I think at last count was over 13 candidates who have won their midterm election, you guys. Mackenzie is next. Just know, Mackenzie, when is your midterm?
So our election day is November 3rd.
Oh, see? You got time. You got time to share Mackenzie message on TikTok, on Threads, on what was the other one? No, it's Threads that he was always talking about. On
Threads, Instagram, TikTok.
Yes. Get out and share his messages. Get other people that may not know him, but you may know in Utah. Get his message out there. He didn't ask for $1, but he definitely asked for you to share it out. Okay, you guys? Also, share OVC out. Always remember to share it to your story. Hit that little arrow button and invite your friends over. Okay, you guys? To close us out, I want to talk a little bit about OVC, you guys. Oh, I got to switch screens. All right. So our vote count is a nonpartisan movement, uniting Americans from all walks of life, empowering voters, supporting candidates of integrity, ensuring every voice is heard. Okay? Through education, outreach, and accountability. Y'all remember what Mackenzie said? He wants to be held accountable. We want the same thing for our candidates. In action, we build a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. Thank you for joining us. Your vote, your power. Never forget that you have the power to change America with every ballot that you cast, you guys. I'm talking to everybody that's on the other side of the screen. Not just casting at the federal level, but casting at the local level. We just had a election April 7th. And there's 300,000 people that live in the city of St. Louis. Only 30,000 people came out to vote. That is a very small majority. But what we voted on affects everyone who lives and works in the city of St. Louis, you guys. That's how important your vote is. And sometimes there's not enough people, but one vote can turn the tide for everyone. With that being said, Mackenzie, thank you again for joining us. Please come back on the 29th for the round table. I'm counting on you. If I'm in there, I'm going to share it with you, Mackenzie.
What time?
I know you may be a little tired. It's normally at 3 Eastern.
3 Eastern, okay.
Yes.
So 1 p.m. my time.
Yeah, but I'll make sure you get it back.
Okay.
I'll make sure you get it back. So, what everybody heard, thank you. Oh, it's the 26th. Sorry, I said the wrong date. It's the 26th. Thank you for correcting me, OVC. OVC, thank you for hosting us tonight. With that being said, thank you to everyone who came out to support and gifted the candidate, who gifted us, who gifted OVC. You guys have a wonderful night, and we will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock for Alice.